Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this evening, no motive yet in Westmoreland mass shooting, says the police. The Westmoreland police say investigators are yet to establish a motive into last night's mass shooting at a bar in Bethel town, which saw 8 people being shot, 4 fatally. 3 of the 4 deceased have since been identified. They are 41-year-old Tyler Damian Baker, O'Dane Scott, otherwise called Moses, and Rocky Lawrence. Reports from the Bethel Town Police are that about 10:20 p.m., patrons were gathered at a bar in New Road in Bethel Town when a black motor car drove up and the several armed men exited the vehicle and immediately opened gunfire on the crowd. The police were alerted, and on their arrival, all 8 injured persons were assisted to hospital. 4 men were pronounced dead on arrival, while the injured persons were admitted for treatment. The police say the unidentified man is said to be one of the men who came with the other culprits in the vehicle. The investigation is ongoing. Trio remanded over attack on man defending mother of his child. 3 men charged for attacking a man who intervened in a verbal altercation involving the mother of his child were remanded when they appeared in the St. Catherine Parish Court today. Charged with unlawful wounding and assault occasioning bodily harm are 24-year-old Kenardo Ferguson, Selvin Ferguson, 25, and 30-year-old Marvin Miller. Speaking in court today, Parish Court Judge Janelle Nelson Gale stated that the act was premeditated, adding that the injuries of the complainant are very serious and that the complainant was threatened in the presence of the police. The court heard that the complainant was attacked with machetes and a hammer. It was also indicated that the medical certificate is outstanding. The men were ordered to return to court on November 22. Allegations are that on September 7, the mother of the complainant had a verbal altercation with the persons when he intervened. While doing so, the complainant's slippers touched one of the accused. He was subsequently ganged by all 3 men, who rained the chops to his head and right arm and blows all over his body. He was rushed to the Spanish Town Hospital, where he was admitted for his injuries. On September 19, he pointed out the accused to the police. They were arrested and subsequently charged. The men are being represented by attorney at law Delphine Golden Gentles. 2 police officers to face court on corruption charges. 2 police officers attached to the St. Anne Division are to face the parish court today on corruption charges. Constable Hugh Smith of the Runaway Bay Police Station is charged with misconduct in a public office, and the District Constable Petrina MacDonald from the Brownstown Station is charged with misconduct in a public office and breaches of the Corruption Prevention Act. The cops were charged last week Tuesday following investigations conducted by the Inspectorate and the Professional Standards Oversight Bureau. They were granted station bail. The charges are in relation to 2 recent incidents in the parish, details of which are expected to be outlined in court today. Numbers used to identify soldiers after Keith Clark's shooting death. Former head of legal affairs at the Jamaica Defense Force, Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Cole, said Monday that based on how statements were prepared, there was no definitive way of identifying soldiers involved in the shooting death of Accountant Keith Clark at his house in St. Andrew on May 27, 2010. Cole was given testimony in the Home Circuit Court, where 3 soldiers are on trial for the murder of Clark. On trial are Lance Corporals Greg Tinklin and Odell Buckley, as well as Private Arnold Henry. According to Cole, in written reports that he had signed and submitted to the Independent Commission of Investigations and the police, only numbers were used to identify the soldiers as opposed to names. But Cole told the court that the report was done by officers of lower ranks, which he later signed. He said he did not verify who exactly the numbers were attached to, saying that he wanted to sign it quickly so that it could be sent off to the relevant authorities. The numbers said to have been assigned to the 3 soldiers were 38, 42, and 44. I agree with you that I cannot assure this court and the jury present that these numbers are properly identified to the men in the dock. I think it was Buckley, Tinglin, and Henry. I see some men in the dock, but I wouldn't want to tell you who is who because it has been 14 years. The 3 soldiers gave statements. I gave instructions that a particular process that was developed in dealing with these types of matters should be allowed. The process was that instead of using their names in the statement, we would use their numbers. The reason for that was that the press was being very intrusive and wanted to know the details of person's identity. In addition, we wanted to ensure the soldiers felt comfortable in a safe place and that their identity would not be disclosed, so we arrived at some numbers which we would have used before in similar situation. The numbers were not assigned by me. The numbers were assigned by the persons who took the statements. I first saw a letter presented to me with certain numbers, and I signed that letter and sent it off to the persons who needed to get it. I did not verify the numbers. There was no time for me to verify. We need to get the information to the persons who needed to get it as quickly as possible. If there were any issues that arose, we would deal with it on a close case-by-case basis, said the army man. Cole told the court that there were around 46 numbers that were assigned to soldiers who were on operation at Clark's house on the morning he was killed. Numbers were assigned starting with number 1 and continued after 44, and you never verified any of those numbers above 44. I was presented with the entire list of numbers, but the police officer concentrated, based on his instructions, on 3. About 46 numbers were on the list. It was the police officer who called my attention to the 3 numbers, Cole told the court. Keith Clark was killed during a police military operation at his 18 Kirkland Close home in Red Hills, St. Andrew, during the security forces' search for then fugitive Christopher Dudos Coke, who was believed to be hiding in the basement at Clark's house along with 7 of his heavily armed cronies. Clark was shot more than 20 times, including in his back by soldiers inside the master bedroom of his house. Fiery protest out west as residents calls for road repairs. Taxi operators and residents in Glasgow, Westmoreland, and Kendal, Hanover blocked the shared main road to vent their frustration with a delay in the start of rehabilitation work. Debris was set on fire and placed across the pothole-riddled thoroughfare, preventing access for several hours. Following a 3-day protest along another section of the roadway in September last year, the National Works Agency said based on the unavailability of funds, the road will have to be fixed in stages. In the first phase, patching was carried out along the worst affected areas from Grange Hill to Kingsvale. The NWA also indicated that it was preparing a contract to begin work from Peggy Barry to Glasgow. Morland Wilson, Member of Parliament for Westmoreland Western, is questioning the delay in assigning a contractor for the project.
I'm going to use this opportunity to call on NWA to conduct repairs on this road. We have seen where funds was allocated some 24 months ago by the Honourable Minister for this roadway to be repaired, and we haven't heard anything from the NWA. This piece of roadway has been stuck in procurement for some time, and I'm calling on NWA to speed up the process. The people are frustrated. We have seen where last year around this time where there was a massive protest in Westmoreland Western for the same piece of roadway where people are demanding the roads to be fixed. I'm going to ask NWA to get with it. We have seen where procurement is taking too long.
New twist to recent St. James High School principal-teacher saga. A key insider in the Ministry of Education and Youth has refuted claims that a number of teachers at the St. James High School were recently unjustifiably booted by the school's principal, Joseph Williams. It has been reported in the media that 4 teachers at the school were dismissed on the grounds of unsatisfactory performance evaluations. But speaking with the news on grounds of anonymity, the ministry insider said the teachers were dismissed. The source said the teachers involved had been temporarily employed and their contracts were simply not extended. They were engaged up until August, the insider told the news. The ministry figures the statement have produced a new twist to the recent rule over the termination of the teachers. In a recent media report, one of the affected teachers complained that she was wrongfully terminated for unsatisfactory performance by Williams. However, Williams clapped back, stating that due process was followed relative to the terminations. Thank you everyone for watching. See you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for another news update.